Wow. This is my first live workshop. I love you, Esther, and Abraham.
We look so much alike. Jerry used to say, "You should wear a sign." And then he realized there was enough difference between Esther and Abraham, the sign was not really necessary.
I think I discovered you maybe 3-4 years ago. And it's had such a profound impact on my life, on my business, just in terms of ease and I say like an effortlessness. So a number of questions, but one of them that I'm grappling with right now, like in my life, and since I've discovered you, I've really been in a way where, like in my business, I just attract it. And so people say to me, well, but what's your plan? Because I do well, and so they say, well, what's your marketing plan, or how do you do it? And I'm somewhat embarrassed to say, well, I don't have a plan.
Embarrassed because?
Because I should.
Because you're not, because you need more justification for your success to satisfy those who need to justify success?
Yeah, and it's a little bit like I come from the corporate world, and so, and what I do is...
We're from heaven.
But so I come from the corporate world, and I'm an executive coach, so I'm coaching executives, and I know, you should have kind of plans and strategies and all of that. So if you ask me about my business, it's I don't. And how I build my business is, well, I attract it. So for a while, this was like, this is odd, right? But it's odd, yet it works. And so what I decided is I need a practice, some kind of practice. And ultimately what I did is I began an attraction journal where I would record every time I'd get an email, or the phone would ring, or someone would refer somebody, introduce me to somebody that would relate to business, so that I could notice and appreciate every one of those things.
The key to the success of that process that you've discovered is in the appreciation. It's because in the appreciation, you're acknowledging the vibrational resonance, the vibrational integrity of what you're doing. So that's a key part. In other words, just keeping the journal in a sort of attitude of justification would actually backfire.
Got it.
But as you are noting and in your noticing and in your recording and in your appreciating, appreciation is the most important part, you are actually practicing the vibration of success. So when someone says to you, well, what's your strategy? You say, well, success comes to all of us. I'm just good at noticing it. And when I see it, even if it is a small version of a bigger picture that I'm wanting, I notice it and I practice the feeling of appreciation within it. And then I'm noticing, you could say, that law of attraction, if they're ready for those words. If not, you could use the word momentum, that there is a momentum that responds to whatever I'm feeling. So if I'm focusing with appreciation on something that feels good to me, it always becomes more. You could say, if they want a label of who you are, what do you do? What is your strategy? What is your plan? You could say, I'm intuitive. My strategy is to not get in my own way. My strategy is to sniff out or feel my way to the path of least resistance. Because before, when I was justifying my life, when I was more determined and efforting, I got tired because I realized I was bucking my own current. So I've stopped bucking my own current, and I'm now intuitively following the path of least resistance. It feels to me that somehow there's a path that is not laid out for me, but laid out for me by me. I have this plan. And you could say to them, you might laugh, but this is my plan. And this is the extent of my plan. When I feel really, really good all the time. And I figured out how to do that with focus. And so that's my strategy. Now, some aren't ready for it, but those who are ready for it will discover a resonance, the same resonance that you're discovering. There's a leverage in alignment that just doesn't come in any other way. And you just can't get around it. Oh, you can move a lot of things around. You can work hard. You can have plans. You can go through the motions of things. But the majority of processes that people are applying as they're going through the motions in order to justify the good that's already come or the good that they're wanting to come causes them to practice a frequency that actually throws things on their path of least resistance and slows things down. That's why people keep coming up with more and more processes and more plans, because they continue to sort of junk up their own trail. They don't need to. See?
And so that, as I'm thinking, as I work to bring some of this to my clients and to my business, and you've given me a few words there on, I'm very careful about speaking in a way that they can hear it. So that...
And yet, you're not wanting to honor their flawed belief systems that are holding them back.
Great.
That's the tricky part
about
approaching people who maybe aren't ready for the intuitive part of this. But as you begin speaking, as you continue to speak more and more in terms of what you know to be, use words like gut feelings, intuition, right place, right time, things lining up, unseen forces, trends in the marketplace, sensing of what those trends are, aligning well, being more efficient, having more fun in all of it, not trying so hard, getting out of your own way. All of them understand all of that. Use sports metaphors. It's like having trained your physical body into capability along with everybody else that's playing this game in a similar way, but having the edge because you are intuitively knowing where that guy's going to be. You already know how tall he is. Those stats are available to everyone. You know how tall he is. You know how often he makes that shot. You know how often he assists. You know how often he plays the game well. You know how many wins and how many losses. You know a lot about that guy. But right here, right now is the only thing you want to know. And what you want to know right here, right now is where is he going to be in relationship to where you're going to be? What's his relationship going to be in relationship to what you want? This is in the moment timing that you're teaching them. You can't teach someone how to be in the right place at the right time in a dynamic, moving basketball game or in a dynamic, moving economic market. So what you're teaching them is fluidity. What you're teaching them is sensitivity. What you're teaching them is intuition. And if they don't want to know about that, then they're going to play a mediocre game, because they're just going to throw a whole lot of mud on the wall and some of it's going to stick. But none of it is going to be satisfying, you see.
God, that sports analogy is so much about being present, not planning.
Right here, right now.
Yeah, right now.
In relationship to everything else that's moving around.
Yeah.
Because this is for sure, and how many of your clients are ready to hear this from you? You will know. But this is for sure. The source within them, their inner being, knows everything that they want and knows where they stand right now in relationship to it, and knows the path of least resistance from where they are to where they want to be, and is giving them impulses, you see. If you want to help them, you've got to teach them to feel the impulse and to respond to it. And until they start feeling one and following it and seeing where it leads, they're not going to know if the impulse is coming from connection or if it's coming from fear, if it's coming from desire or if it's coming from belief, if it's coming from something wanted or if it's coming from an awareness of wanting to guard against something unwanted. You have to play this game with the knowledge that you can provide for them before you can be the intuitive, in the right place, at the right time, having a good time, being that you were all born to be, you see. Yeah.
Hmm.
Isn't it fun?
It is.
Isn't it fun and when you think about it, would you like it to be any other way? Really, you say you would, but you don't. Well, sometimes you feel like you want to say, all right, everybody just stand still and let me get a beat on where you are. Just stand still, let me think about it. Like the sports announcers, they freeze the frame and then they draw on the picture. And Esther thinks, anybody could do that. Turn it back on and figure it out, smart guy. In other words, you got to be in the game. You got to be in the game. And you got to care about your placement in it, you see.
Yeah.